try. We're not being recorded, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to.
I'm thinking about it.
Or no, we are being
I'm
broadcast.
so sick of it.
No, like, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to members of the public and members of the committee. This is a meeting of the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson is running a little bit behind schedule, so I'll be running the meeting until he returns. Mr. Mejia, can you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Harris Dawson, presently absent. Mr. Lee,
Present?
Ms. Yaroslavsky,
Here.
Ms. Padilla. Ms. Padilla,
Present.
Ms. Hutt.
Here.
That's 4 members in the quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mejia. We'll start this meeting by taking public comment on agenda items. Our goal is to get as many speakers as possible. We will then move through the agenda one at a time, listen to staff presentations, and vote on the items accordingly. Mr. City Clerk, can you please read the rules of public comment into the record? Or is it-
Yes, sir.
Sorry?
Appellants and/or their representatives and applicants and/or their representatives will be allowed to speak for a total of 3 minutes per side, unless otherwise noted by the chair. Members of the public wishing to speak on one agenda item only shall have an opportunity to speak for 1 minute. Appellants and applicants will be given an opportunity to speak when their item is called. Each appellant and applicant has a total of 3 minutes to speak. An appellant can choose to have a single representative speak on his or her behalf or divide the 3 minutes among his or her team. Anyone else, including an attorney or project manager wishing to speak on an appellant's behalf who does not do so during this 3-minute period may offer a minute of public comment whenever the committee chairperson opens the public comment period for the meeting, which is usually at the beginning of the meeting. Therefore, we expect that appellants and applicants have their respective teams assembled and ready to present at the appropriate times today. Members of the public wishing to speak on more than one item shall state that and shall be allowed to speak for a total of 2 minutes. Failure to submit public comment in a timely manner before the comment period for the item ends results in forfeiture of the opportunity to participate in public comment for the item. Madam City Attorney, please provide additional guidance on public comment.
Adrian Corsani, City Attorney's Office. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you are not speaking on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you're speaking on an agenda item, you will receive a brief warning. If you do not immediately and clearly return to the topic, or if you continue to stray off topic and disrupt the meeting, you will forfeit the rest of your time and we will move on to the next speaker. You'll be informed when your time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Rosales. Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Before we turn to public comment, I'd like to open up the floor to any additional recommendations from council members or staff may have.
So, Mr. Chair, there's additional language for items 3, 6, and 7. I believe that for item 3, the councilman of the district is present, Mr. McCosker. If you would like him to read it, or I can read the language.
Mr. Picasso, would you like to, you can go ahead and read it, Mr. Mejia.
Okay, so for item 3, the only substantial change, committee members, is that the motion is being changed to designate or instruct the Board of Public Works, its Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety, as the lead in the report back, along with the assistance with the Department of Building and Safety, Planning, Fire, Bureau of Engineering, and Bureau of Sanitation and Street Services, and in consultation with the city attorney, and along with some very minor technical changes to the moving clause in the motion. But in essence, that is the major change to make the Board of Public Works the lead in the report back.
All right, and I believe we have another additional change, item number 6.
Yes, for item 6, Mr. Chair, this one, it's a motion, Harris-Dawson, Yaroslavsky instructing CAO to identify funding for a nuisance abatement property, the New Bay Motel in CD 8. So the additional language is to instruct Building and Safety to pay for the costs, which amount to $37,941.30 to secure, which means the fencing and the boarding of the nuisance building known as the New Bay Motel. And the second instruction provides a little bit more of specificity than what the language is contained in the motion, to instruct Building and Safety, along with the city attorney, to take all actions necessary consistent with the municipal code to recover the cost from the owner for this abatement action. And for item 7, the recommendation therein, it's a motion by Mr. Soto Martinez Harris-Dawson to initiate a general plan amendment and zoning and code amendments to the Hollywood Community Plan. Recommendation therein is to adopt the motion along with this additional recommendation to request, or instruct rather, the planning department to provide a report within 30 days that outlines the approach to address the requested work program, including any city resources, staff, or contract funds that may be required.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk, and I have a minor technical amendment to item number 5 to Councilmember Padilla's motion regarding the Van Nuys Airport. Council District 12 has always had a member in the first, second, first, therefore, a member of the resident stakeholder Citizens Advisory Committee, and since CD12 borders on to the airport, we'll just ask Ms. Padilla if that's okay. We just add CD12 as to have a member on that as well.
Duly
Right.
noted.
Thank you so much. It seems like the chair has rejoined us at our meeting here today, Mr. Chair.
So are we ready to go to public comment?
Yes, and for the record, Mr. Harris-Dawson has joined the meeting.
Thank you so much. All right, have we read instructions for public comment into the record?
Yes.
We have?
Yes.
All right, well, I will call our first speaker, Councilmember Tim McCosker of the Great 1-5.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to item number 3. I primarily was just going to give you the heads up about the modifications, but just as a little bit of background, in the North Gateway in the 1-5 sits on the Athens Rosecrans oil field. It was developed with oil in the 1920s. It is now today a mix of residential and commercial and industrial. No active wells, but in the past 6 or 7 months, we've gotten reports of land movement. and the concern is that it might be related to some of the geologic, changes that occurred over time with the oil wells. And so we presented a motion asking for a review. Sitting down with staff, we found that having the petroleum, oil and gas administrator be the lead was the right thing. I appreciate an aye vote for this to come back and make sure that we are, dealing with these land movement issues. We know all too well during the storm and in past incidences around the region that land movement is a serious, serious issue, and it should be as serious in the Gateway as it is in Rolling Hills. So thank you.
Thank you so much for this, Mr. McCosker. I spent a lot of time in Athens on the Hill as a child, and back then we were worried about the 110 freeway being right next to it, as well as the drilling which was happening right across the freeway. So I appreciate you stepping out. Beautiful homes, beautiful neighborhoods. It's a jewel of the city that almost no one knows about, which I think the people that live there like it that way. So thank you so much. All right, we'll go to regular public comments. And just for the record, folks, items 8, 12, and 13, we're continuing those, so we won't take public comment on those items. But all other items you can comment on. Your name will be called. When it's called, you can come up to the podium in any order and say your name and which items you'd like to speak on.
Doug Haynes, Angelina Jimenez, Estuardo, Hassan Zuniga, Maria Capelon, Aaron Alento, Aaron Hall. As you approach the mic, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Hello, hi, my name is Doug Haynes. I actually came here for 12 and 13, but you just told me they were continued. I did want to speak on 7 real briefly. I want to point out that if you're going to amend the Hollywood Community Plan update that was recently passed last year and amend the general plan and our specific plan, the Vermont Western Transit Oriented District specific plan, then please recall that you also have to do a new environmental impact report and send the revised update back to the City Planning Commission and not to skip those steps. Thank you very much, and I'll be back when 12 and 13 ever comes back again. Thank you.
Buenos días, necesito intérprete, por favor.
¿Quieres que yo vaya? Ah, what do I do here? ¿No se oye aquí? ¿Ya se oye? Oh, sí. Okay.
Un momento, por favor. Okay.
Buenos días, mi nombre es
Hi.
Angelina, soy miembro de ACE
My
del
name is
Distrito 8.
Angelina.
Estoy aquí para recordarles que, por ejemplo, ya no se ha hecho ni se han acordado de la cuestión de CPIO.
I'm
Tenemos
here to
un
remind
año
you all
esperando,
that
tenemos un año esperando que se haga la reunión y la votación.
We have been waiting for a year for you to vote on CPO.
Queremos que CPIO del sur de Los Ángeles esté vigente ahora.
We want that the CPO from South Los Angeles be up to date today.
Porque queremos garantizar que los inquilinos del sur de Los Ángeles
We want to guarantee that the people that live in South LA
tengan la mayor protección posible contra el desplazamiento.
all the tenants have the most protections, not to be evicted.
Estamos exigiendo que las enmiendas de CPIO
We would like the amendments from CPIO
se redacten de inmediato, se voten lo antes posible.
to be written and to be voted as soon as
Ha
it could.
pasado un año
A year has passed
y no hemos oído nada. Por favor,
and we have not heard anything. Please.
si a ustedes se les olvida, yo aquí voy a estar siempre para recordárselo. Gracias.
If you forget about it, I'm going to be here always to remind you. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please. State your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Alenta. I'm here speaking on items 14 and 15 today, please. I'm here representing the Figueroa Corridor Business Improvement District. The Business Improvement District has been in place since 1998 and provides enhanced programs, services, including community ambassadors, a clean team, and marketing to the Figueroa Corridor area, which includes USC and the Rawlinson Stadium. I'm here today to speak in support of the USC Rawlinson Stadium renovation project. It is a much welcomed and needed upgrade in our neighborhood that will also promote sports equity for USC student athletes. The project also will provide new opportunities for greater community and university partnerships, including sports, clinics, coaching clinics, greater engagement with USC student athletes, more access to games, and increased accessibility to the field. Thank you for your consideration. We look forward to working with USC and other partners on this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Hi, my name is Maria Cabillion, and I am here as the resident of the A City District and a member of ACCE in Los Angeles, and I am also a part of USC Forward Coalition. I am here for item A15 and public comment. The South Los Angeles CPIO and the USC Women's Soccer Stadium. CPIO, I am concerned about the South Los Angeles CPIO because we have been waiting for a year to hear from the city attorney's office. We have requested a meeting with the city attorney and we have been ignored, and then when we finally had a meeting set up by the city attorney canceled the meeting. We are upset with the behavior and lack of action. We want the South LA CPIO in place now because we want to ensure that tenants of South Los Angeles have as much protection as possible from displacement. We are here demanding that the South Los Angeles CPIO amendments get drafted immediately and voted on as soon as possible. It has been an entire year. We need action on the South LA now. USC Soccer Stadium. As a community member, I am concerned about the lack of community engagement for the USC Women's Soccer Stadium. I live not so far from the proposed stadium, and I have not seen any community meetings regarding the impact of this stadium on the neighborhood.
Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good morning. My name is Hassan Suniga. I'm speaking on item A15 in public comment. So, as you heard, one of our community members, I live now in District A because I was displaced where I lived in District 14 because of harassment and bad conditions. I've been organizing for 4 years on this issue about the displacement of USC, which is the big elephant in the room, right, that is displacing because they're refusing to create affordable housing in their own campuses, right? And a good example is the soccer women's stadium, which we support women in soccer, but it's not on the skirts of the community, right? Where they continue to be displaced, where they continue to be evicted, right? And even if there is affordable housing in District 8, which there is, a lot of them, like Maria, where she lives in Section 8, the conditions are harassment and the conditions are really bad, mold, and things are not being repaired. So that's the disgrace to the situations of our community. And it's important to understand that it's been a year. Like Maria and Angelina said, about 60 to 70 people have rallied for almost 3 years with the support of Marquise Harris Dawson, with the support of the neighborhood councils that are part of there, you know, and yet we are yet to see the city attorney to give us a simple understanding of why you're not implementing 3 ordinances that were passed last year, right? And recommendations to actually stop this gentrification. It's a disgrace, and I hope we can have a conversation with the city attorney to understand why they're not doing their job and getting their shit together. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Hall. I'm with the Crenshaw YMCA. I'm here to speak on items 14 and 15. I'm here to support the USC Rawlinson Stadium renovation project for not just for what it's going to do for the student athletes of USC and what it's going to do specifically for the young ladies that are athletes at USC, but what it's going to do for our community members who will be able to use the stadium and have a state-of-the-art field that they can go and practice on and see games on and go into a world-class locker room and see that all sports are truly created equal. So I'm here to stand with USC. I'm excited about the project, and I'm excited for what it's going to do for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. As the next speaker comes, I'll call a few more names. Danny Bakewell Jr., Elser Wills, Hannah Poulter, Jackie DuPont Walker, Jay McAdams, Jesus Chuy Garcia, Jordan Sison.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Estuardo Mazaregos, and I'm here to speak on items 815 and public comment as well. So first, the process of creating the new South LA CPIO began years ago. Our members at ACE, the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, gave feedback necessary to prevent displacement on January 11th, 2023. It's been an entire year since we've heard anything. The City Council approved the motion requesting that the City Attorney draft the motion to include 5 important changes to prevent displacement in South LA on January 17th, 2023. So this is an entire year has gone by and we still haven't seen anything. So our coalition has submitted further legal justification for those amendments, including examples of other cities with similar requirements. We've also asked the City Attorney to meet with our coalition regarding the amendments, but yet to meet with the City Attorney. So totally unacceptable. We want to see some action happen around this in our community in the 8th and 9th District. We're seeing massive displacement due to USC students encroaching into the community without any real plan for housing inside USC. And also on the stadium, haven't seen any community engagement, haven't seen any real participation from the community talking about what's going to happen with the stadium, how is it going to impact the community. We also believe that the EIR that was originally submitted didn't have in its equation the actual number of students that will be enrolled into USC at the time. So instead of building stadiums, they should be building housing. Having students come into the community and compete with our folks in the community is really hard. The housing market is creating homelessness as we speak. I just had to drive through a USC area, and there's tons of folks living on the street in the rain. So a lot of this is caused by indirect pressure from students competing for housing and temporary housing units. So yeah, we want to see more housing for students inside USC, not outside. Think about that before building a stadium.
Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. My name is Danny Bakewell Jr. I am the president of the Los Angeles Sentinel, and I'm here speaking on items 14 and 15. I am coming to you before today, good to see everyone, here to speak in support of the USC women's soccer field project. I have been in contact and had many conversations with USC and many of their representatives, and they have emphatically stated and talked about being in support of the community, in reaching out to the community. They've reached out through the Sentinel on a number of occasions. In addition to that, they've made serious commitments with the YMCA and other organizations to partner with them and make those fields available for youth and for other community organizations. So I strongly encourage you to consider this project and say yes. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon, Chair Harris Dawson and esteemed members of the committee. I'm Jackie DuPont Walker, president of WEDC, Ward Economic Development Corporation, and I'm here to speak on items 14 and 15. There's a song that says everything must change, But I want to let you know today that we still support the USC soccer and lacrosse stadium. That has not changed. We have known over the past 37 years that USC has been a good community partner with economic infrastructure and with working with community groups, those that agree with them and those that don't agree with them. We believe that should anything happen with the construction and remodeling of this, that we will all come together as we have in the past. I hope you'll take note of the legacy community partners that are here today. That means that we have over the years worked to bring the best to this community. This stadium brings more diversity, which is needed. But the fact that it focuses on women means we also have the equity that we need in our community. Please continue to expedite this project so that our communities can have what we need. And I must add that when Black Star was added as one of those partners, it caused us to rejoice. Thank you and hallelujah.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon, Jay McAdams from 24th Street Theater. Hello, Mr. Harris Dawson. And I'm speaking on items 14 and 15. We're one of those legacy partners that Jackie DuPont Walker just mentioned with USC. We were actually started by the Dean of Theater there, and his hope was that we would be able to contribute not only professional art in that community, but to the community as well. We serve hundreds of families because of USC's generosity. And we've been now through 3 presidents and 4 theater deans, and they have never stopped supporting us. So just as Jackie DuPont Walker said, I can vouch for their character. One of the elephants in the room, because they are one of the biggest or the biggest employer in Southern California, some folks might be a little leery of that, a great big corporation. But these folks have walked the walk for our whole almost 30 years working alongside them. And I'm talking about dozens and dozens and dozens of people that we've worked closely with, from the president's office all the way to the theater school. Also, this doesn't displace anybody. This is just an upgrade of an existing field. This will be great for the women's sports program, for the soccer team, and I can't think of a reason to oppose it. So from all of us at 24th Street Theater, my board, my staff, we all support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the Plum Committee. My name is Jesus Chuy Garcia, and I'm a proud Angelino, born and raised, and a proud USC alumni, fight on, and a member of the USC Forward Coalition. I am here to speak on the USC Stadium, so this is item 14, 15, and public comments. I want to start by saying that the city and the neighborhood where USC is located doesn't need another stadium. It needs housing. As a student, I would have liked to live at USC, but housing was not available. Even after the USC Village was open, housing continues to be an issue. This begs the question, why? Why is there not enough USC housing? It's because USC continues to enroll students without allocating enough housing for them. But going back to the USC Village, it's worth noting USC's broken promises and failure to fulfill their development agreement. USC promised a full grocery store that would accept WIC vouchers. USC promised a mobility hub that would be open during business hours. USC promised after-school activities for the Department of Parks and Recs. We are done with the broken promises and the broken commitments from USC. By the way, the planning department is witness and can provide all those documents. That being said, we question USC's use of an amendment rather than a project-specific CEQA review like the EIR or an MD. Let me be clear, we are not opposed to diversity and equity. If USC truly wants equity for the teams that are playing right now at those fields, it should allow them to play at the LA Coliseum. USC owns the Coliseum. Open it up. Stop bringing NASCAR into the USC. You can open it up for other sports. Truly equity means them playing there. That's their property as well. Anyways, that's my comments, and fight on.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Elster Wills, and I will be speaking on items 14 and 15. I'm here on behalf of USC's women's lacrosse facility. I grew up playing on the Black Star youth lacrosse team. Black Star has given me so many amazing opportunities and experiences that I will cherish. While my teammates and I were practicing at Rancho Park, we were not given an equitable place to practice at. Black Star was consistently interrupted by commotion or being asked to move by other sports teams. I feel like if my team was given more freedom on the field, we would excel not only in drills but in games. In closing, I would like to end by saying that I am in complete support of the new USC lacrosse facility.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. My name is Hannah Poulter, and I'm speaking on items 14 and 15. I'm a member of the USC women's soccer team, and I'm here today in support of the USC Rawlinson Stadium. This stadium will serve as purpose as the home of the USC women's soccer and lacrosse teams, which are both extremely talented and competitive groups of female athletes who represent USC as well as the wider community. I know personally that these women are extremely diligent and hardworking and strive for excellence every day, and I believe that this facility will be an addition which will allow for them to excel further. It's clear that this commitment made by the university reflects their dedication and support to the success of the female athletes, as well as their desire to see the programs grow. And that's why I'm very proud to be part of one of these amazing programs myself, and I can't wait to see the process unfold. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Speaker. As the next speaker approaches the podium, I'll call out a few more names. Joshua Garraway, Lindsay Jaff, Marco Flores, Marco Yanez, Medisol Sandoval, Mark Rose, Megan Hins, Nu Jaffrard, Nika Eke, and Robert Saucedo.
I don't think my name was called, though, but I did sign up. Do you want me to wait?
What was your?
Pamela Agustini?
And your name hasn't been called?
It-
Yeah, you want to wait till it's called.
Okay, I'll wait. Thank you.
So the people that come to the podium should be people whose name was called, just for a reminder.
Good afternoon. My name is Marco Flores. I am here to speak on items 14 and 15. I am a lifelong resident of the USC community. I am an alumni of USC committee. And at this time, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Neighborhood Council, NANDEC, and who has supported the USC project, the USC Stadium project, and also Adams Normandy Neighborhood Association, which I am the president of, who unanimously supports the project after presentations from the university. But more importantly, I am here to speak as a father of two daughters who living in South LA struggle to find any type of facility, any type of ability for my daughters to play. They played water polo, they played soccer, they played baseball, and then every time they had to play on the boys' team, which made them better water polo players because they were tough. They were able to play with the girls, with the boys. They were able, when they went to high school, they were very good, but they never had something to call themselves. They never had a girls' team. They never had a women's team that they could play with. So I and my daughters, who is one right now in Spain studying, and the other one's studying architecture in a university, On behalf of them, I'm here in supporting the project because this will become something that they can look at, something that they can say, this has come, it's here when it wasn't here before. This is something that represents us. And also my goddaughter, who is now 8 and plays lacrosse, has to travel from park to park to park for practices because there are no facilities. There are nothing established in South LA where she can play. And the tough little girl that she is, and her parents, my compadre and comadre, travel and they see it. And then themselves, if they could be here, they would be, but they're working. They want to be supported. They want their daughter to one day be able to play at the stadium. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. My name is Marco Yanes, and I'll be speaking on items 12 and 13. I'm a member of the Western States Regional Council of Carpenters. I live, work, and recreate in the vicinity of this project. The Western States Regional Council of Carpenters support this project. The developer has committed to work with contractors that will hire local and utilize apprenticeships from a state-accredited apprenticeship program. I would like to express my support for the project as I believe that it will benefit the environment and the local economy by practicing protocol that will protect workers' health and safety and incorporate adequate environmental mitigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
My name is Joshua Garraway, and I'll be speaking on 14 and 15. I am the Dean of the Hebrew Union College, the Jewish seminary that abuts the proposed Rawlinson Stadium project on the south side. We support the project wholeheartedly, mostly because of the opportunities it will provide to women's athletics at USC. We are proud to say that ours is the first Jewish seminary in history to ordain women as rabbis, and the equality of women remains for us a paramount value. Our relationship with our neighbor USC is a long and cordial one, and in the planning of this project, we have already seen their commitment to ensuring that the disruption and inconvenience we experience is kept to a minimum. Please support the construction of the stadium.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Mark Rose, speaking on agenda items 14 and 15. I work at the Expo Center, where we provide recreation and aquatic programs serving the Exposition Park community and its 3-mile radius. At the Expo Center, of our nearly 25,000 annual enrollments, 57% are female. So I'm here today in support of the USC Rawlinson Stadium renovation project. This project is so important to the community because it promotes sports equity, again, not just for the USC students, but also for our female athletes in the local community that I just mentioned, of those at the Expo Center and the surrounding community. The new field will provide increased accessibility for field space, which is so badly needed, especially in the South LA area, and also will provide other community programs with USC, with sports clinics, coaches clinics, mentor engagement with student athletes. I mean, I think of the LA 28 coming up. All these girls are going to be wanting to be playing sports, specifically soccer and lacrosse. We need a place for them to play. So we look forward to working with USC and the other partners on this project as it relates to the Rawlinson Stadium renovation. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. I'm Lindsay Jaffe, an athletic administrator at the University of Southern California, speaking on item 14 and 15. I'm here speaking on behalf of one of our women's soccer student athletes, Molly McDougall, who's currently attending class. I'm beyond thankful for the opportunity to support the Rawlinson Women's Soccer and Lacrosse Stadium project. USC continues to show how much athletics and student athletes are valued, and this project demonstrates this, and additionally how much USC values its women's sports programs by giving us a place and a platform to perform for the community and families of Southern California. I can speak for a lot of people when I'm thrilled and excited to play in our new stadium. Thank you, and fight on. Molly.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
My name is Marisol Sandoval. I'm speaking at item 14 and 15. I'm a USC Kid Watch ambassador and a parent rep also. Building the stadium will create safetiness and privacy for a young female growing. My kids play at GPLA, and sometimes they tell me they don't like to be around because the bathroom's not clean, they don't have a place to be changed, so creating that stadium for only females and also for gender, it will help them build confidence that they could be able, growing up, at Fauché didn't have a soccer field, so I had to scout or find places to play and have good enough privacy and security for us. My dad had to literally take me far in order for me to play soccer. And for USC to give me opportunity also, I play in Argentina, Brazil, I travel. With being a female going places like that, made me think like I could do anything. And I want the young ladies now growing thinking mindset, school and sports. Not only about, TikTok and all that stuff. No, security of our female players, and I'm supporting for the stadium. It'll be good for them and growing. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Hins. I'll be speaking on items 14 and 15 on behalf of C.G. Henderson, the Executive Director of Harlem Lacrosse Los Angeles. I stand here today in full support of USC's development of Rawlinson Stadium, which I see as a bold statement in play equity, supporting women and girls in sports. Harlem Lacrosse Los Angeles proudly serves 75 Girls of Compton, a community just 12 miles adjacent to USC's campus. The campus where for so many years residents have felt both stolen from and shut out of such a unique space. The way I see it, the proposed renovations to the newly named Rawlinson Stadium has the potential to mitigate two critical community issues. One, making girls feel supported in sports through comparable facilities to their male counterparts, and two, creating a space where local youth can find access to the campus via community sport-based organizations like mine that have cultivated a meaningful partnership with the University of Southern California. I thank you for your time, C.J. Henderson.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Hello, my name is Neka Eke, and I'm speaking on items 14 and 15. So I am from USC Forward Coalition, and I'm also speaking about our concerns about USC's enrollment growth and the greater demand for housing that has caused. Absent adequate on-site housing, the surrounding communities have seen the increase of student co-living facilities around campus that has destroyed long-term housing for community members. Thus, the city should reconsider using the increasingly rare R3 zoned property for a stadium that is designated for medium-density residential housing under the general plan and redevelopment plan. The city should also re-examine USC student enrollment and student housing at both campuses before it grants further discretionary approvals. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Hello, my name is Ness. I'm speaking on items 14 and 15. I am the founder of the Black Star Youth Lacrosse Program. I'm here in support of the Rawlinson Stadium for the University of the University of Southern California. I don't know if you guys know this, lacrosse is an indigenous sport played for medicine. Despite that, many programs in LA just don't encourage diversity and inclusion. But USC wants to work with us to change that. And I promise if this stadium is built, we will hold them accountable, and we will have a user agreement which will create access for kids in the local community to enjoy the great game of lacrosse. For you, Marquise, if you remember when we received the CD8 community grant, and we also did the LA Strong program, you said that we reduced crime in the area by just being there and having our program going. So I think this is a great opportunity that we cannot pass up to provide sports equity for the talented ladies at USC, but also to provide sports equity to the local kids that can't play for the mortgage payment lacrosse programs on the west side of LA. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. As the next speaker approaches the podium, calling out a few more names: Adana Shahar Mahali, Alejandro H., Angelina Jimenez, Devine B., Elaine G., Greg H., Kaylee G., Maria Cabellon, ML, Pamela A.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Cicedo. I'm President and CEO of Community Build, based in Leimert Park. We're a legacy nonprofit and low-income housing developer. And I'm here to speak on items number 14 and 15 in support of this particular project. One of the things that I've had my staff do, along with young people that I engage with, is have them read the book Start With Why. And here's my why for support. These young ladies that play at this stadium have to walk a half mile from the locker room in order to be able to play, and walk a half mile back. This is about equity in sports. It's about doing the right thing. There is no sport anywhere that requires the athletes to share the restroom that the public shares. They have to do that. So I urge you to support this project and pass it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Hi, my name is Alejandro Hernandez. I am here in support of item 9. As a longtime stakeholder in the community, I support the project. Just today, as I drove through the historic rain on my way to this very meeting, I witnessed the effects of the housing crisis and the environmental injustices that we've allowed, and I'm reminded of the city's desperate need for housing. I need not remind the Commission nor the Council members of the city's responsibilities to its residents in supporting additional housing supply. Please support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Hello, my name is Elaine Gonzalez, and I am speaking on item 9, and as a member of the Sunland Tahunga community, I believe that housing should be available at all income levels, and this part of the city should not be shut down from the same opportunities to have housing, and I support it greatly, and I think you guys should too. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. This is Adana Chahar Mahali, and I'm here to prevently advocate for item 9, endorsing the development of the vacant land at 7757 Foothill Boulevard. As a dedicated resident of the Sunland Tahunga neighborhood and a local realtor specializing in these areas, I wish to highlight the pressing need for increased housing opportunities. In our community, a surge of first-time home buyers and young individuals is evident, actively seeking properties in Sunland Tahunga. Regrettably, we are confronted with a housing shortage exemplified by properties constantly attracting multiple offers and selling well above their asking price. This situation underscores the crucial importance of the proposed project. By addressing this housing deficit, we not only meet the aspiration of our young residents, but also foster community growth. A surge in population will undoubtedly contribute to the prosperity of our local business.
Thank you, Speaker. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
Hello, my name is Kaylee, and I'm here to speak on item 9. We appreciate the developer that he designed a very nice building, not only that will enhance the community, but will also want to bring people to that building. And I'm in support with it, and I hope you guys are as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which items you're speaking on.
My name's Melanie. I'm here for public comment as well on behalf of the appellant, Ron, and the concerned residents of Delmas Terrace for agenda item 11 regarding 3751 Delmas Terrace. You should know I was denied an Americans with Disabilities Act request for reasonable accommodation today for remote access or the ability to have my voice heard over speakerphone. This request didn't seem complicated as we had a whole pandemic where this was done. It's very possible with today's technology. With much anxiety coming in the bad weather, I am here today. I felt that if I didn't come and you didn't hear my actual voice, then you wouldn't be as likely to listen to me and how my neighbors feel. Katie Yaroslavsky's office sent 2 emails yesterday and the day before regarding the unprecedented weather saying, limit any unnecessary trips whenever possible. If you use your car, drive with caution and never drive through a flooded street. Hence, I requested reasonable accommodation for my actual voice to be heard and was denied. During the pandemic, public meetings subject to the Brown Act were mostly held over Zoom, but now with the end of the official health emergency, they've been requiring us to come in person again. As a result, disabled people are being forced to step down from boards and commissions and being forced to, if you want to appeal, then you have to come in person. This is not right. People should be able to participate remotely as a reasonable accommodation under the ADA. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg, and I will be making a public comment on item number 9. I'm here as a student studying sociology and examining the impacts of urban spaces. Item 9 proposes the building of low-income housing on Foothill Boulevard, and the barrier of entry is appropriate. The next step in urban planning is mixed income level housing. From New York to France, the development of housing will be used as the future example in these spaces. If LA does not want to be associated with a culture of poverty, the City Council should take basic steps and support this item. This project conforms to the area as it is not occupying its maximum space, creating 46 residential housing units, and it'll be used as a future example in future studies. So let's support this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Chair Harris Dawson, members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Daveen Babai, and I'm speaking on item 9. I just want to briefly state my support for this Foothill project once again. As a community member, someone who at some point has either lived, worked, and even attended grade school in the area like 100 years ago, this project is a clear value add to the community that has been up and coming for quite a while now. I think anybody that's in the community would agree. I've attended multiple hearings on this item over the last however many months, so needless to say, I feel strongly about this, as does majority of the community that I interact with. We appreciate that the project wasn't built to max height or density, and also how visually appealing it is design-wise. I remember in a previous hearing someone making a comment about how we need more commercial projects in the area. I agree, but I see this as just another argument in favor of this project, since additional housing like this project is absolutely necessary in order to attract not just commercial projects, but high-quality commercial projects that will be valuable additions to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. As the next speaker approaches the podium, calling the last few names: Ron A., Rosalie Preston, Tal C.A., Tal C. Finney, Zaven Charchian.
Good afternoon. I'm back. My name is Pamela Agustin. I am the director of the Eastside Leads Coalition that is based in Boyle Heights. Council members, and I'm speaking on items 8 and 15. So together with USC Forward, we organize and advocate for accountability of USC to its surrounding neighborhoods in South LA and East LA. We also demand for stronger protections in LA City that keep vulnerable tenants housed in their neighborhoods, especially as the university continues to expand in Boyle Heights and South LA. This is why I joined the calls today with my fellow colleagues that the South LA CPIO amendments must get drafted immediately and voted by this body as soon as possible. Also, protections under the CPIO are needed, especially because the project like this soccer stadium threatened vulnerable tenants. A new amenity implies a strain to surrounding neighborhoods. Rather than this project, the university should address housing its current student population in both its Boyle Heights and South LA campus. Please do not support this project until more community outreach is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the council. My name is Zaven Charchian, and I'm speaking on item number 9. As a lifeline resident of the city of Tahunga, I am in strong support of this project. I believe that this project will bring much needed affordable housing to a part of the community that is often forgotten about. And yes, the neighborhood of Tahunga is a part of the city of Los Angeles. And I believe that adding to the Foothill Corridor affordable housing will also contribute to attracting commercial businesses that will come to the neighborhood and continue the development that we've seen over the last couple of decades take place in the neighborhood. I do appreciate, like some of my other fellow colleagues mentioned, the fact that the building was not built to the max height or density, and that on top of that, It is aesthetically very appealing with the appropriate setbacks provided, and I'm in strong support of this project, especially given the extremely short housing crisis that we're all seeing in the city of Los Angeles. Please support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Rosalie Preston. I'm the Vice Chair of our Planning and Land Use Committee for the Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council, speaking in support of item number 3, which I understand has already been approved under the consent calendar. But we just wanted to stress our strong support for these measures, which are needed to understand what is the cause of damage to homes along 129th Street, including clear subsidence of properties. We believe that the source is an active oil well on 126th Street that was re-drilled and fracked, we know, 10 years ago, and in the last 2 years has been re-drilled and is causing new issues for our stakeholders. So we thank you for your support in moving this forward.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker, please state your name and which item you're speaking on.
Hi, council members. This is Tal C. Finney. I'm speaking on item 10, which is an appeal under California Environmental Quality Act, Title 32 categorical exemption for urban infill development. So I think I'm going to speak later. Is that how it works?
You're the appellant or applicant?
We're the applicant.
Applicant, you'll speak at the time we call it.
Yes, thank you, council member.
Okay. All right, that concludes our public comment. Mr. Mejia, we can get on with our business. So there was a motion to continue items 1, 8, and 9. Without objection, that'll be the order.
Actually, Councilman, I believe it's items 8, 12, and 13.
I'm sorry, 8, 12, and 13. My mistake. You are correct.
Yes, and those are being continued, I believe, to February the 20th, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I will call the roll. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Jaroslavsky.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla. Yes. Ms. Padilla. Yes. Ms. Hutt.
Yes.
Okay, those items are continue, items 8, 12, and 13 to February the 20th.
Thank you so much. All right, that takes us to our consent items. These are items where the chair is recommending that we adopt these items on consent. Those are items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Mr. Mejia.
Yes, so for item 1, for the record, we will be approving, the recommendation rather, is to approve the city administrative officer recommendations in its report dated December the 13th, 2023, and thereby that the council, subject to the approval of the mayor, authorize the planning department to retroactively apply for and accept the grant funds that were awarded on November the 9th, 2023, and execute the grant agreement in the amount of $500,000 from the Mellon Foundation to support the Historic Places LA Reveal, a citywide program of historic markers. The agreement timeline is December the 1st, 2023 to November the 30th, 2025, and to receive and file the October 25, 2023 Planning Department report, in as much as the recommendations included in that report have been uploaded and are now been updated as reflected in the December 13 CAO report and recommendations, and no further action is necessary. For item 2, the recommendation is to approve the inclusion of the property at 119 North Larchmont Boulevard in the list of historic cultural monuments. Item 3 is to adopt the motion with the slight technical change that was read, as was read into the record by the councilman of the district, and to instruct rather the Board of Public Works, the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety as the lead in the report back. Item 4, the recommendation is to adopt the motion by Ms. Jaroslavsky Park instructing the planning department, along with the city attorney, to initiate a specific plan amendment for the Exposition Corridor Transit Neighborhood Plan that would allow restaurant beverage, the use of the restaurant beverage program within all of the specific plan boundaries. In item 5 is a motion by Ms. Padilla Rahman. It's instructing the planning department, along with the airports department and CD6, to convene the Van Nuys Airport Specific Plan Citizens Advisory Committee to prepare a specific plan for Van Nuys Airport. At the beginning of this meeting, the councilman of CD12 requested that that Council District 12 be added to the list of Citizens Advisory Committee members. So that's a slight amendment to item 5. And then item 6, that motion is by Mr. Harris Dawson Yaroslavsky, instructing the CAO to identify funding in the amount of $37,941.30 to cover the cost of fencing and boarding of a nuisance building known as the New Bay Motel. The slight modifications to the recommendations: 1, to instruct the Department of Building and Safety to pay for the cost, again, $37,941.30, to secure the nuisance building known as the New Bay Hotel in CD8, located at 8301 South Figueroa, and 2, to instruct Building and Safety, along with the city attorney, to take all actions necessary, consistent with the municipal code, to recover the cost from the owner of the New Bay Motel, located at 8301 South Figueroa. And finally, on the consent calendar, item 7, the motion by Mr. Soto Martinez Harris Dawson, instructing city planning to initiate any necessary general plan amendments, zoning, and code amendments to the Hollywood Community Plan. The recommendation therein is to adopt the motion with an additional instruction to instruct city planning to provide a report within 30 days that would outline the approach to address the requested work program, including any city resources, whether it's staff or contract funds, that may be required. I will call the roll for those consent items. Again, there were items, for the record, items 1 through 7. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Hutt. Yes. That's 5 members and unanimous, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. That takes us to item number 9.
Yes, sir. Item 9, this is a categorical exemption from CEQA, a report from the Planning Commission as to the approval of a density bonus and project permit compliance, an appeal filed by Daniel Hatcher relative to the construction of a 46-unit residential building. 7 units are being set aside for very low-income households in CD7.
All right, we have a report from Department of City Planning.
Yes, hi, afternoon, honorable council members. Morsong with City Planning. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So again, this is item 9 before us, is an appeal of a density bonus project located at 7577 Foothill Boulevard in the Sunland Tahunga neighborhood of the city. This is a proposed 3-story building with 46 new residential units, including 7 units set aside for very low-income households. The City Planning Commission did fully approve this project on September 28th, 2023. And the appeal is filed by a neighboring resident who contends that the project will have significant environmental impacts, including traffic, parking, and privacy impacts. I'm happy to go into any detail on any specific concerns that anyone may have, but in summary, there is no substantial evidence of any direct quantifiable environmental impacts here. This is a relatively small project, again, at only 3 stories and with only 46 new units. The project also has an extensive analysis that supports the city's conclusion that the project does qualify for a Class 32 categorical exemption. And again, the project is entirely consistent with state density bonus law. So for all these reasons, planning does recommend that this committee deny the appeal and adopt the Class 32 categorical exemption as the environmental clearance for this project. And I am available for any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, now we will hear from the appellant for 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name's Daniel Hatcher. I live on the street that is right behind this proposed project. I represent all of the people that live on that street. There are 8 houses there. No one wants the project. Now, there are personal reasons, big ones like the parking. Everyone in this room knows that anything that's built apartment-wise, they never build enough parking. Wilsey, the street I live on, is a single lane. There is no parking for anything else. There are apartments next to me. There are apartments catty corner to me. The streets are full of cars. Now, the big problem that we have with this project is that Tujunga is not like North Hollywood. It's not even like the greater parts of Los Angeles. Tujunga is a very small community. We have one road in and one road out, and that is Foothill Boulevard. Now, what they're proposing to do is put a 43-foot tall apartment building right in the middle of our city. It is on the single busiest intersection. There are more accidents in this intersection than all of Tujunga, and they want to add, as a minimum, 46 cars trying to get in and out of this 3-way intersection. Now, I want you to picture this, council members, please. This is a really small community. We have hills on one side, we have the mountains on the other. When those 2 areas were on fire, the 210 was shut down. I'm in my kitchen, I'm looking out the window with my 4-year-old son, and he's looking at the fire, and we can see it. And he's asking me, Dad, are we okay? And I said, don't worry, we're gonna be fine, it's okay. I don't really know that. We got lucky, the fire never blew down the hills, it never blew down from the mountains, and it was all good. Now and this was nothing but a sea of cars on Foothill. We're talking a really short distance, but a couple of miles from my house, which is in the middle of Tujunga, to the 210. You're talking hours to get there. Now, everyone remembers Paradise. We all know what happened there. A lot of people died. What they're proposing to do in this particular case is put a density of, and there's not going to be one person living in an apartment. There's going to be at least 2 people living in each apartment. So you're talking about almost 100 people.
Thanks so much. Now we will hear from the applicant, from their representatives for 3 minutes or less.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Plum Committee. My name is Edgar Kaladian. I'm an attorney with the Mayor Brown Law Firm here on behalf of the applicant. I want to echo everything Planning Department staff said both today during its presentation as well as in the appeal report. The administrative record is complete. There is substantial evidence supporting the city's adoption of the Class 32 categorical exemption. The appellant, neither today nor any time leading up to today's hearing, has provided any evidence to the contrary. The Planning Department's findings are absolutely legally defensible. And as we talk about Foothill Boulevard, I'd like the council members to be aware it is one of the widest, largest streets in all of the city of Los Angeles. 6 lanes, extremely wide. Traffic analysis was done through LADOT. The record is complete. This is simply a density bonus project that is consistent with the underlying zoning and general plan amendment. We respectfully request that this committee recommend the City Council deny the appeal and support the project, which includes on-site affordable housing. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just before discussion, we'll ask if District 7 has a representative that would like to provide comments.
Good afternoon, Paula Basingana, Planning Director for Councilwoman Rodriguez. Our office has reviewed the facts of the application as well as Planning Department's report, and we are in concurrence with the recommendation.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? All right, I'll move a motion to deny the appeal with specific instructions. Mr. Mejia, if you could read those into the record.
Yes, so the recommendations to deny the appeal filed by Daniel Hatcher and thereby sustain the determination of the Planning Commission's approval of a density bonus and a project permit compliance for the construction of a new 46-unit residential building with 7 units set aside for very low-income households and 89 parking spaces for the property located in CD7, and as stated on the record at today's meeting by City Planner Moore Song. I will call the roll. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee. Aye. Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Hutt.
Yes.
That's 5 members and unanimous, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. That takes us to item number 10.
Yes, item 10, a categorical exemption from CEQA and the related findings. It's a report from the Planning Commission, an appeal filed by Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, SAFER, appealing the environmental clearance for the construction of a new mixed-use building with 214 residential units, 24 units set aside for extremely low-income households in CD6.
Report from Department of City Planning.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is David Wynn with City Planning. Item 10 pertains to a CEQA appeal in conjunction with the approval of a new 6-story mixed-use development in the Van Nuys community. The project will provide 214 dwelling units, including 24 units set aside for very low-income households. As a quick review, the project was approved by the Director of Planning in May 2023. The project's site plan review determination was subsequently appealed by the Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER. At its meeting of October 26, 2023, the City Planning Commission denied SAFER's appeal and sustained the Director of Planning's determination. The item before us today is a second appeal filed by SAFER with regards to the project's Class 32 categorical exemption from CEQA. The appellant provided in their application the same appeal points that were presented to CPC last year. SAFER claims that the project will result in significant air quality and noise impacts, and that the project does not qualify for any exemptions from CEQA as mitigation measures are required to reduce the project's possible significant impacts. After reviewing SAFER's appeal points, planning staff concludes that there is no merit to the appeal and that the Class 32 categorical exemption is the adequate and proper environmental clearance for this project. The appellant has not provided any substantial evidence that shows that the project will have significant air quality and noise impacts. The project's environmental impacts were fully analyzed in the categorical exemption document prepared by York Engineering. As noted in their assessment and the supporting technical data, the project will not exceed any air quality or noise thresholds of significance for construction or operation. Also, the appellant falsely identifies the application of noise control measures as mitigation measures. Noise control measures such as construction site shielding and the screening and buffering of equipment help reduce noise levels and are consistent with the city's noise ordinance. They are not mitigation measures. Therefore, Planning recommends that the Plum Committee deny the CEQA appeal and sustain the Director of Planning's decision. Additional details related to the appeal points were addressed in a staff letter that was submitted to the record. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to address any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Now we'll hear from the appellant.
Hi, good afternoon, Plum Committee members. My name is Marjana Bubo, and I represent SAFER, Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility. We are appealing the Van Nuys Apartments project and asking the Plum Committee to approve our appeal. SAFER maintains our position that the project cannot qualify for a CEQA exemption. We address issues related to air quality and greenhouse gas emissions in our prior comments, but with the limited time I have this afternoon, I wanted to address a key issue. In particular, case law makes clear that exemptions from CEQA are prohibited where mitigation measures are required to reduce a project's possible significant or potentially significant impacts. SAFER makes this allegation due to the presence of best management practices, or BMPs, within the noise study. The city contends that the measures put in place for the project are not mitigation measures, but rather again, BMPs. However, we maintain that even if these mitigation measures go by a different name, they are still legally considered mitigation measures, especially since the city's staff report even admits that project-related construction noise impacts will be less than significant when implementing these measures. As such, without these measures in place, and SAFER's independent experts do conclude that the infeasibility of some of these proposed measures will not effectively reduce noise levels below significance. Even if the measures in the noise study are not considered mitigation measures, the fact that these measures are not even included in the project's conditions of approval should raise some concern. Therefore, concluding that an impact is less than significant without incorporating these mitigation measures as binding requirements means that there is no guarantee that these measures will even be implemented, and thus inadequate. I believe SAFER made those same comments at the Planning Commission, and I read the staff report, and it still hasn't been addressed. So maybe the city staff or the applicant can address whether or not the project design features or these BMPs are in fact going to be a required binding and legally enforceable measure that will be included and incorporated as part of the project. But still, I can't find it anywhere in the report. So therefore, SAFER respectfully requests the Plum Committee to approve our appeal and deny the proposed categorical exemption for this project. Thank you.
All right, now we're hearing from our applicant.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the council and the Plum Committee. Quickly, I want to point out first that the project clearly satisfied all the requirements of CEQA guidelines, section 153032, because the project was found by the Planning Commission to be consistent with the general plan, the applicable community plan, and zoning ordinances. Secondly, it was located within Los Angeles city limits. Third, consisted of no more than 5 acres. Fourthly, substantially surrounded by developed urban uses on a lot that is highly disturbed. And finally, the project site has no value as habitat for endangered, rare, or threatened species. We also had support from the local Neighborhood Council on October 26, 2023, and I specifically wanted to reserve the rest of my time to what the appellant was just getting into. I'm the former OPR director for the state, so I was basically in charge of running CEQA for the state. And I want to point out that we had a letter done by York Engineering, LLC, our experts, that determined that the analysis done by the appellant was flawed and contained false statements. Basically, although labeled as mitigation measures or control measures, noise barriers are project design measures. An event required best management practices. The LA City Planning approved the BMPs will be implemented in compliance with the Los Angeles Municipal Code requirements. This is a standard condition of approval and pursuant to CEQA and is not considered mitigation. Shielding is not the only BMP that will be implemented. The other LA City Planning approved BMPs will also be implemented. Aggregated average construction noise is not expected to exceed the applicable limits by the city at nearby receptors, and therefore impacts would be less than significant. The problem was that the experts used by the appellant used an obsolete version of the Cal EE mod, which was version 2020.4.0, which has been superseded by Cal EE mod 2022, which was the correct version used by my client's consulting group, York, in 2022 for the air quality analysis. Additionally, the appellant's expert made unsubstantiated changes to the inputs in their obsolete Cal EE mod run. So the issues that were raised just now before you on a technical basis have been addressed by the city. They're within city's best management practices and within the municipal code. And again, it was primarily because of an outdated model that was used by the appellant's technical folks. And with that, I have nothing further to say except that it's a great project, and it does also help bring affordable housing within the project itself too for the community. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll begin our discussion by hearing from the council office. No comments? No comments. All right. Do you have a recommendation for the committee?
That we deny the appeal. That we deny the appeal.
All right, so there's a recommendation to deny the appeal. It's been moved. I'll second. Mr. Mejia, there's specific instructions. You can read them into the record.
Just for the record, to deny the appeal filed by Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility and thereby sustain the determination of the Planning Commission to approve the environmental clearance categorical exemption for CEQA relative to the construction of this new mixed-use building with 214 residential units, 24 units for extremely low-income households for the property located in CD6 as noted on the agenda and as stated on the record at today's meeting by City Planner David Woon. I will call the roll. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Jarosowski.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Hutt. Yes. That's 5 members and unanimous, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so much. That takes us to item number 11.
Yes, sir. Item 11 is categorical exemption from CEQA, related findings, a report from the Planning Commission, an appeal filed by Tiffany Bradshaw for the residents of Delmas Terrace in CD5 relative to the approval of the environmental clearance, the categorical exemption for CEQA for the construction of a residential building with 17 units, reserving 2 units for extremely low-income households.
All right, a report from Department of City Planning.
Good afternoon, council members. This is Esther Ahn with City Planning. I won't repeat the project description, but as just stated, essentially a 6-story multifamily development with 17 units, 2 of which are reserved for extremely low-income households. The project would provide 14 vehicular parking spaces within 1 subterranean level and 1 portion of the ground floor level. So this is an appeal of the CEQA determination for a transit-oriented communities project located in the Palms Mar Vista Del Rey Community Plan area located at 3751 South Delmas Terrace. Specifically, the appellant contends that there are significant noise and traffic impacts that have not yet been addressed. However, as shown in the letter from planning in the council file and in documented evidence in the case file, the project provided an air quality study, noise study, and traffic assessment, which was reviewed by LADOT to demonstrate that the findings for a Class 32 infill development categorical exemption have been met. In addition, the project meets all requirements under the TOC program and state law. In accordance with the state's Housing Accountability Act, there is no evidence of a specific adverse impact to disapprove the project. A specific adverse impact refers to a significant, quantifiable, direct, and unavoidable impact based on objective, identified written public health or safety standards, policies, or conditions. Therefore, the Class 32 categorical exemption adequately addresses all impacts relative to the proposed project, and staff recommends that the appeal be denied. Thank you.
All right, now we'll hear from our appellant.
Before you start the timer, I have a quick question. One, you said Tiffany Bradshaw. That was for the TOC appeal.
So this is the appeal we're hearing right now is Tiffany Bradshaw. So that's who we're going to hear from at this moment.
No, it was Ron Arsenault. I just want you to correct that.
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chair. Ron Arsenault is the appellant.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. The appellant is, for the record, is Ron Arsenault for CD.
Tiffany was the TOC. That was our first appeal.
All right. Well, they have her down for this one. Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate the correction.
Okay, but also.
So we need the appellant of record to speak at this time.
So I'm reading on behalf of Ron because
We don't do it that way. It has to be the person.
we've done that previously. I spoke for Tiffany last time because she couldn't be here. And also, Ron was denied an ADA request. Your office can confirm that.
City Attorney's Office, if she's the proxy for the appellant, she can speak during the appellant's time, but there's no additional time for any other speaker, including this individual. So Ron Arsenault will not be able to speak. Only this person will be speaking.
Okay. So 3 minutes.
Okay, so last time they gave us more.
We're not giving more.
Okay, well, can you restart it, please?
You should start your testimony. Thanks.
We on Delmas Terrace believe we have sufficient evidence to request our CEQA appeal be accepted. We know in the letter dated January 11th from Vincent Bertoni, Director of Planning at City Planning, recommended that the Plum Committee deny the appeal and affirm that the project is compliant with CEQA. We do not believe it's fair. If you read our appeal, you will see we have several points of contention. I'm wondering if any of the Plum Committee I guess myself and Ron, are wondering if any of the Plum Committee committee members have heard of the Snowball Investments LP versus City of LA. The appeals court just sided with the city in denying a project based on the reasonable person test 2 weeks ago. Your committee can represent their constituents, stand up to lawsuits as the city has now won. As recently cited by the 2nd District Court of Appeals on October 26, 2023, Snowball Investments, West Investments versus City of LA, developers are not automatically entitled to the additional waivers of development standards above and beyond what the lot is currently zoned for. Instead, the city has within its power to require that housing projects comply with zoning density limits even when the general plan allows for higher. As such, the city can reference this case to deny the developer's request. Any reasonable person can see that it will impact traffic patterns, impact safety, impact emergency vehicles. The city doesn't have to approve the entitlements when there is a long volume of evidence that the city can push back on the developer as referenced in the city for the city council. I urge you to read other public comments in this file. At this time, Ron says, at this time, residents of LA do not trust the way this commission and the mayor's office has set up this process. If you cannot admit that this process is rigged in the developers' favor, we have a larger problem. Maybe it's time for these communities to be heard. Since you automatically decline each appeal, it cannot be through this process. Ron says, you have failed the community's trust and your influence is community's trust. Ron says he has lived in Los Angeles all of his 68 years and has seen too many bad decisions come out of City Hall. We encourage the Plum Committee to take time to come out to Delmas Terrace so that you can see what exactly is going on the block instead of making a decision today. Since I have a few more seconds, I will go ahead. One major flaw in this appeal is that the traffic and transportation studies completed in January 2023 for the developers is not accurate. It is actually outdated and does not reflect the current traffic patterns on Venice Boulevard. The Venice Boulevard Safety and Mobility Project began way after in June 2023 and has caused a serious situation in which buses, cars, bikes, and pedestrians all intersect, creating a dangerous scenario. This has caused more problems for our small dead-end block when there is only one way in and one way out. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from our applicant.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you to the Plum Committee for your time and consideration this afternoon. My name is Jason Grant, and I am the project applicant and representative for this project. I believe what our planner Esther said was sufficient. As stated in the council file, there is no substantial evidence in the justifications to support the appeal. All of the items outlined are not CEQA-related items. We have prepared and submitted all necessary studies. I would like to add that at their request, I met with the appelling group for several hours and heard their non-CEQA-related concerns. To the extent that our project team and contractor can, we will address their concerns at the best of our ability. We have done everything that we have to and can do to comply with all of the rules. It is all part of the record, and all of these studies are paid for and prepared and studied, which demonstrate that there will be no impact, which is our conclusion. I thank you for your time and hope this appeal is denied so that we can provide much-needed housing, which is permitted per the underlying zone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Now we'll hear from the council office, Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Thank you. First, I want to express my appreciation for the concerns raised by the public regarding this proposed development. I also want to thank those that made the time to provide your comments today, given the weather. I have a couple of questions. So, for planning. So, for this appeal, the parking incentives and density increase are conferred by state law. So, approving this appeal would violate state law. Is that correct?
Planning, this is Esther On. Yes, that's correct, because there is no ability to make the finding of the specific adverse impact, as I described earlier. That would be in violation of the state's Housing Accountability Act.
So what would happen if we approved the appeal today?
Planning, this is Esther On. If you were to approve the appeal despite the evidence in the record, then my presumption would be that after the decision is made, then the project would move to the courts, and at that time a judgment would be made based on the evidence that's provided in the record.
And it's my understanding that when we lose in court, we are fined for every unit that we deny, in addition to the denial being overturned. Is that correct? City Attorney's Office has told us that there's tens of thousands of dollars per unit. Can you speak to that, please?
That's my understanding, that there would be a per unit penalty.
So it's my understanding too that there are a really narrow set of circumstances and conditions where the city has the kind of land use authority that residents might be used to or expect when it comes to, say, the matter of parking or density increases, meaning that anyone who has a concern with how narrow these conditions are should really be turning to their state representatives to speak to them directly. Yes?
Esther On with City Planning, yes, I would concur with that.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, this keeps happening across the city, across the district. We hear from constituents who want us to wave a wand and change land use and zoning law to be like we had, or our predecessors had, even as recently as a couple of years ago. And I just want to say state law has been coming fast and furious over the last few years to take away our authority on land use matters. And that's really been the case around parking, additional density near transit, which this project is. I want to speak to something that was raised in the appeal really quickly. So can you give a rough estimate of how many of the Class 32 CEQA appeals that came before Plum in, I don't know, the last 2 years or so have been denied? And if so, why that was?
City Planning, this is Esther On. Unfortunately, we do not keep this kind of record keeping related to CEQA appeals. Each project is basically analyzed on a case-by-case basis based upon the evidence and the facts that are before us. So we do not have that readily available at this time.
But that's something that maybe we could get down the road.
Perhaps if there's a metric that you're looking for, perhaps we can try to implement something to track that.
Right, the City Planning Department could work with the City Attorney's Office to look at any active lawsuits.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. Thank you very much.
All right, and seeing comments from no other members, do you have a recommendation, Councilman?
I ask that we deny the appeal.
All right, so there's a motion to deny, been seconded, with specific instructions, which we'll ask Mr. Mejia to read into the record.
Yes, the recommendations to deny the appeal filed by Ron Arsenault for the record. He represents the concerned residents of Delmas Terrace and thereby sustain the determination of the Planning Commission to approve the environmental clearance, the categorical exemption for CEQA, for the construction of a new 6-story, 17-dwelling unit project with 2 units set aside as affordable units located in CD5 and as stated on the record at today's meeting by Esther On from the City Planning Department. Mr. Harris-Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Jaroslavsky.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Hutt. 5 members and unanimous, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. That takes us to items 14 and 15, which we have separate votes on, but we'll hear together in as much as it is the same project.
Yes, sir. So item 14, this contains a previously certified EIR and an addendum, a report from the Planning Commission as to the approval of a conditional use permit for the sale and dispensing of beer and wine for on-site consumption in conjunction with a stadium in the commercial zone, and an appeal filed by Felipe Casares, USC Forward. And item 15, again, it contains the previously certified EIR and the addendum and the resolution for a general plan amendment, vesting zone change and height district change ordinance for the same project, the McAllister Field, the soccer field at the University of Southern California.
All right, we'll begin with a report from Department of City Planning.
Thank you. Good afternoon, honorable council members. My name is Stephanie Escobar with LA City Planning, and I'll be presenting for the next 2 items with council files 23-1434 and 23-1434-S1. The subject project will replace an existing soccer field with a new athletic stadium for the University of Southern California women's soccer and lacrosse teams. The proposed stadium would consist of 3 levels with a maximum height of 55 feet, a 2-story pavilion level, a total 27,714 square feet of floor area, 2,202 fixed seats, and 2,458 total occupants, including standing room areas. The project will also include the sale and dispensing of beer and wine for on-site consumption during stadium events. The requests include a general plan amendment and zone change to enable the development of the stadium, as well as a conditional use permit for the sale and dispensing of beer and wine. This project was fully approved by the City Planning Commission on September 14, 2023. Item 14 before us now is for an appeal of the conditional use permit to allow the sale of beer and wine during stadium events. As stated in staff's appeal response letter provided in the council file, the appeal for the conditional use permit contained the same comments regarding the project having potential environmental impacts, therefore triggering an EIR, which had already been included and found without merit in the staff recommendation report reviewed and approved by the City Planning Commission on September 14, 2023. The addendum dated September 2023, prepared for the project, properly analyzes and accounts for the project's potential impacts. Therefore, planning staff recommends that this committee deny the appeal of the conditional use permit. With that, item 15 is to approve the requested general plan amendment to change the land use designation on the property from medium residential to community commercial in the South Los Angeles Community Plan area, as well as a vesting zone change and high district change to change the zoning from R3-1-0 to TQC2-2D-0 to enable the development of the proposed project. Planning recommends that this committee approve the requested general plan amendment, zone change, and high district change. This concludes my presentation, and staff is available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we'll hear from the appellant for 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chair, Honorable Council members. My name is Jordan Sisson. I'm Land Use CEQA Counsel to Appellants, USC Ford in this matter. Today we heard a lot about gender equality, and my client is all in favor of gender equality in sports. But also important is housing, as well as USC providing its fair share of housing for its students. This is especially important as you consider this project involves increasingly rare R3 residential zone land. As my esteemed counterpart acknowledges, a subsequent EIR is required when there's significant new information or a substantial change in circumstances. Where we disagree, however, is that we believe that is the case here. Here, a 2010-2011 EIR assumed very minor, small amounts of enrollment increase annually. It was in the technical documents, it was part of the EIR. Those documents said the school was going to grow from 31,000 in 2009 and had about 5,000 students by 2030. Unfortunately, USC's numbers do not reflect that, showing almost 49,000 students at its campuses. So the question is, where did all these extra 1,000 students come from? What EIR analyzed these students? Unfortunately, we have not seen that. In my limited time, I want to highlight a few areas of where we respectfully disagree with USC. One, contrary to claims, the EIR's technical reports are part of the EIR. Two, the claims about the enrollment figures are being inaccurate, unfortunately, have not been shown by USC. They've not shown their annual enrollments at both its large campuses. Third, again, there's no explanation how all these students keep on coming, over 10,000, when they promised their USC medical campus would not grow at all. And at this campus, only 5,000 students. Again, the numbers just don't add up. Fourth, their logic, it really stretches credulity. Under their claim, it doesn't matter how many students are there, regardless of how much induced housing is necessary. The courts have made clear, especially in the Berkeley case, that universities need to consider their housing demand. And lastly, there is no explanation why housing, specifically student housing, and student sports facilities cannot be accommodated on this site. In closing, we strongly support Title IX and gender equality. But again, on-campus student housing is also important. Unfortunately, USC keeps prioritizing non-student housing, which does enable them to increase their enrollment. We respectfully request you to deny this narrative that you can have one or the other. You can have both. We ask you to grant the appeal, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Now we'll hear from our applicant.
Before I start, good afternoon, Dale Goldsmith with the AGD Law Firm. We would respectfully request that, because I have a very brief presentation to responding to Mr. Sisson, that the women's soccer coach has the opportunity to very briefly speak. So there'd be two of us, but we would stay within the 3 minutes.
If you can get it in your 3 minutes,
We will do that.
You're in charge for
Thank you.
180 seconds.
If you wouldn't mind, Chair, resetting to 3 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Dale Goldsmith, AGD Law Firm. Here with me is the entire USC team. To answer any questions you may have, I'd like to start by commending staff and a very thorough staff report, and I'd also like to very briefly respond to the appeal. The appellants argue that the use of an addendum is inappropriate in that the certified EIR did not specifically mention an improved soccer stadium and lacrosse stadium. However, the EIR described a campus-wide project for the development of new uses and facilities on and around the USC campus. The project is a replacement of the McAllister Field, which is clearly part of the campus and has been used by USC's women's soccer for approximately 25 years and by the women's lacrosse team for approximately 11 years. While upgrading the field was not specifically mentioned in the certified EIR, that's the point of an addendum to address changes to the project and any necessary additions to the environmental impact report. All of the criteria, as set forth in the staff report, for using an addendum have been met here. Therefore, the addendum is the appropriate CEQA clearance for the project. The appellants also assert that the addendum is improper due to increased student enrollment over time. However, the enrollment numbers cited in the appeal include all full-time, part-time, and remote learning students at all of USC's campus, and therefore, they are simply not accurate. And in any event, while the number of students have fluctuated over time, the specific plan was expressly intended to facilitate such student growth. Further, and most importantly, the environmental analysis in the certified EIR was not based on enrollment, but on different metrics such as the number of dwelling units and square feet. Therefore, increased enrollment does not affect the EIR's analyses or conclusions. And in any event, this is a soccer stadium. It will not displace any existing housing. It will not increase enrollment, and it will not displace residents. I would like to introduce the women's soccer coach for concluding remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jane Alaconis, head coach of USC Women's Soccer. I'm grateful and honored to be here representing USC athletics, particularly our women's soccer and lacrosse teams. Last year marked the 50th anniversary of Title IX, a milestone we celebrated with pride. Today, we're excited to move one step closer to bringing Rawlinson Stadium to life. For 25 years, McAllister Field has been home of USC women's soccer and lacrosse programs. Despite their impressive achievements, including 27 NCAA appearances and 2 national titles, our student athletes have lacked essential facilities. Rawlinson Stadium will address this gap, providing world-class amenities like restrooms, training spaces, and locker rooms. This stadium isn't just about sports, it's a community investment. Designed with input from the community, it'll enhance the fan experience and strengthen our bond with the surrounding community. Today is a pivotal moment for our USC athletes and our community. As someone deeply committed to women's sports, I'm proud of USC's dedication to empowering our female student athletes and inspiring future generations, and we would appreciate your support today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, do we have a representative for Council District 9? Yes, sir.
Hello, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. My name is Xavier Clark. I am the Planning Assistant for Council District 9. And I wanted to relay the message that our office is neutral on these items, and we don't have any additional comments at this time. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Can we get some guidance for the city attorney on how to proceed? So I'll make a motion to deny the appeal, and there'll be specific instructions. I think the appeal is item number 14.
Right, so you would first act on item 14. So we'll take 2 different actions dealing with the appeal, and then the second set of actions would be on the entitlements contained in item 15.
Okay. So, so there's specific instructions for denying the appeal. If we can read those in the record and call the roll. And
Yes, sir. For item 14, deny the appeal filed by Felipe Casares, USC Forward, and thereby sustain the Planning Commission's approval of the conditional use permit to allow the sale and dispensing of beer and wine only for on-site consumption in conjunction with a stadium in the commercial zone for the properties located as stated on today's Planning Committee agenda, and as stated on the record at today's meeting by City Planner Stephanie Escobar. For item 15, to approve the resolution for a general plan amendment, the vesting zone and high district change ordinance for the replacement of an existing soccer field, McAllister Field, with a new athletic stadium for the University of Southern California women's soccer and lacrosse team located at the property as stated at today's Plum Committee agenda and as stated on the record by City Planner Stephanie Escobar. I will call the roll. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Yaroslavsky.
Yes.
Ms. Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Hutt. Yes. 5 members and unanimous, Mr. Chair.
All right. What's next for us?
That concludes the agenda.
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you all so much, everybody.